Welcome to Dead Giveaway. I'm Billy.
And I'm Carly.
This is a two-part podcast. In episode 1, I will tell a true story, but change the names and locations to try and see if my true crime-obsessed wife can discover the truth.
In part 2, Billy reveals the answers, and we will discuss the details of the case. Will I get it wrong, or will it be a dead giveaway?
Hello. Welcome back, everybody.
Hi. Howdy. Hola.
You. Hi. Howdy. Hola.
Oh, I'm just saying all the hellos I can think of while you're telling me to move my mic closer to my face.
Ni hao.
Yeah, there, that one.
Yeah, there we go.
I don't know. Anyways.
Salam. Hoş baktım.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay.
Oh, man. Welcome back to the show, everybody.
Yeah.
Hope you're having a wonderful Monday. And glad you're spending it with us.
Yes.
Or whatever day of the week you're listening to this on.
Hopefully Monday, because you've just been waiting in anticipation since the last episode until the new one comes out.
And
But if not, that's fine.
And hoping, what's Billy going to do to cancel them this time?
Yeah. Exactly.
Oh, man. That was hilarious. Your face on that last episode was so funny.
I'm so glad we're not doing video yet.
Oh, my God. I know. You were like...
I was just like preparing
one,
in my head the different ways I was going to have to apologize to people.
Yeah, you were already preparing your like...
My formal statement of apology.
Yeah, your formal apology.
Yeah, to people in Vietnam.
Lord, forgive him. He knows exactly what he does.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I don't care.
What
Anyways.
do you have in store for me today?
Ooh, today is an interesting one. No, it's just, this is a weird one. All of them are weird.
Yeah, I was going to say you have
And it's a weird, very grim way that each one of these cases kind of gets a little bit more darker.
Ooh.
They all have their little nuances
Yeah.
that just kind of like just really creep you out.
Gotcha.
Yeah, the depravity of mankind is just, it knows no bounds.
Seriously.
It really does not.
I know. But you know what? We talk about all of this stuff, but there's some really good people out there too.
There are some really good people out there. Yeah.
Yeah, like me.
Yeah. Eh.
You're like, yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Kidding.
you're people.
Yeah, I am people. I am a people.
You are a people.
All right, get into it.
Oh my gosh. All right, guys, here we go. The case did not begin with a missing person report. In fact, for the first few weeks of June 2007, the name Mateo Rojas did not appear on a single police blotter in Valparaiso, I believe.
Okay.
We're going to go with
Go with that,
Valparaiso.
yes.
The investigation began instead with a contradiction, one that surfaced in the back of a cramped, dimly lit interrogation room. It was the dead of winter in the coastal city. Outside, the cold Pacific winds battered the colorful houses clinging to the hillsides, but inside the precinct, the air was stagnant. Police were questioning a 20-year-old named Diego Alvarez. By all accounts, Diego was a small-time player, a low-level offender with a record of petty car thefts and minor drug possession charges, just,
Sure.
typical young thug stuff going on there.
Yeah, nothing crazy, but
He was someone that police expected to crack in 10 minutes, right?
yeah.
But as the hours ticked by, the detectives noticed something very unusual. Diego wasn't just nervous, he was erratic.
Uh-oh.
The shifting timeline, when asked about his whereabouts during a recent string of vehicle strip downs near the docks, his story kept changing with each iteration.
Oh.
His alibi, which initially placed him at a bar across town, collapsed when he couldn't name a single witness who had seen him there.
Well, you don't always know everybody in a bar. Come on.
Then, in a moment of visible exhaustion, or perhaps a slip of the tongue, Diego mentioned a job he had done at a house on Calle Serrano.
Uh-oh.
It was a throwaway comment, almost casual, but it was something that the investigators noticed shifted in his telling.
Yeah.
So Calle Serrano was a tightly packed neighborhood overlooking the port. It's a place where everyone saw everything, but no one said a word. Investigators pressed on and kept on badgering him until they could see him start to break down.
Sure, yeah.
So they obviously didn't care about cars anymore.
No.
They cared about the way his voice shook when he said the word drum.
Drum?
What began as a routine theft interrogation was unraveling into something far more sinister.
Uh-oh.
So 3 days after Diego's slip, the investigation moved from the precinct to the industrial edge of the city. Following a lead pulled from Diego's phone records, police arrived at a rusted, abandoned storage unit just a few hundred yards from the commercial port.
Oh.
The
Not
unit,
like in the word drum now.
The unit was tucked behind a row of shipping containers, invisible to the main road. When the bolt cutters finally snapped the lock, the smell hit them first.
Mm-hmm.
Not the smell of death, but the chemical alkaline scent of drying industrial concrete. In the center of the unit sat a single 55-gallon industrial drum. The exterior was heavy, or it was unmarked. It was cold to the touch. The drum was extremely heavy, and it obviously had been moved there with a forklift.
Sorry, you said it was a metal drum?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Its base was slightly dented from the weight of its contents.
Mm-hmm.
The lid had been welded shut and then reinforced with layers of heavy-duty industrial tape. It took the forensic team nearly 4 hours to breach the container.
Ooh.
When the top layer of hardened concrete was finally chipped away, investigators were met with a grim scene. It was not a stash of stolen goods. Encased in the gray stone was the body of a young man, curled in a way that suggested he had been placed there while the concrete was still wet.
Oh.
He would later be identified as Mateo Rojas, a 22-year-old journalism student at the local university. He had been missing for over a month, but in a city as busy and transient as Valparaiso, his silence had been mistaken for a student simply getting lost in his own work, going to school, playing hooky,
sure,
spending too much time on the beach.
Usual
whatever,
young kid.
Right.
Yeah.
The realization was immediate, right? That Mateo had been killed because he wouldn't have done this to himself.
Of course, yeah. You don't put yourself in a drum and then cover yourself in concrete.
Exactly.
Right.
There was methodical planning that suggested Diego Alvarez was only the beginning of a much larger, more dangerous story.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
In the tight-knit student circles of Valparaiso, Mateo Rojas was a name synonymous with a certain kind of relentless energy. At 22, he wasn't just a journalism student. He was a self-taught investigative reporter who treated every lead like a personal mission that was his to complete.
Okay.
He
was a go-getter.
Yes. He grew up in a working-class family. He was the son of a port worker, which gave him a unique perspective of the city's lifeblood. Mm-hmm. While his peers were writing about local politics or university sports, Mateo was drawn to the dark corners of places like the docks, the alleys, and he had a reputation for absolute persistence. It was the kind that made people in power a little uncomfortable.
Sure, yeah.
He was very outgoing, very astute, didn't take no for an answer.
Yeah.
And he wasn't interested in the official press releases. He wanted to know why certain shipping containers bypassed customs and where the ghost funds from the port authority were actually flowing.
So he digs into places that people don't want him digging into.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So in the months leading up to his disappearance, Mateo had become increasingly consumed by what he called the Port Project. He had begun documenting a series of unexplained offshore transfers and the sudden suspicious wealth of local maritime officials. Friends described him during this period as increasingly erratic, not out of instability, but out of caution. He stopped taking his usual bus route, too. He had begun carrying a small, voice-activated recorder and a black moleskin notebook that he never left unattended. One of his professors, Esteban Cruz, later noted that Mateo had asked hypothetical questions about what happens to whistleblowers in the shipping industry.
Oh.
He was curious, and maybe just a little bit too curious, about the overlap between legitimate commerce and the criminal underworld that thrived in the very port of their town.
Yeah, and never take a hypothetical.
Nope.
Yeah.
So the final trace of Mateo Rojas was not a physical one, but a digital breadcrumb. On the night he vanished, he was seen leaving the university library at 9 p.m., heading toward a meeting near the waterfront. He was carrying a manila envelope that colleagues suspect contained bank statements he had spent weeks tracking down.
Okay.
And at 10:14 p.m., he sent a final cryptic message to his closest friend, Sophia. And he said, "I think I found something big. If I'm right, this goes higher than we thought. I'm heading to the Serrano house to verify the last piece. If I don't text you by midnight, call your dad." Sophia's father was a retired police captain.
Okay. I was about to ask it.
But the midnight deadline came and went in silence. By the time Sophia tried to reach him, Mateo's phone was off, going straight to voicemail. So she was thinking he hadn't just vanished. He had walked directly into the
Hornet's nest.
Or the something big that he had mentioned to before. And this would eventually lead investigators to the concrete-filled drum at the edge of the Pacific.
So she did call her dad?
Yes.
Okay.
This is what
started
part
the whole
of what
thing.
led them there.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So this is coupled with Diego Alvarez.
All of it kind of came together.
All of this is kind of happening simultaneously.
Gotcha.
And her father,
he kind of alerted
me.
people that he was missing in the situation, and then this guy's in interrogation and happens to mention.
Well, he's retired.
Okay.
So obviously he still has friends
he's
in the
calling
force.
his buddies or whatever.
And of course it's not a this is guaranteed. This is kind of all culminating, right? So now you have this guy who's being weird. You have this tip from a retired police captain who's saying my daughter's friend has gone missing.
Yeah. A missing person who was investigating things that this guy was probably involved in.
Which leads them to the drum where they found his body.
Okay.
When police later searched his apartment, they found his laptop had been absolutely wiped clean. It was a professional job that suggested someone had been inside his home before the authorities had. The only thing they couldn't find was the little envelope that the witnesses said
they knew
that
he had.
saw him with it.
Yeah.
Mateo Rojas didn't just disappear because he was a student. He disappeared because he had finally found the something big he had been looking for. And in the world of the Valparaiso port, some stories are meant to stay buried.
Oof.
And as the investigators dug deeper, the case widened rapidly, and with it, the list of suspects.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Diego Alvarez, the first crack, the one who led the police to the drum, he claimed he just helped move it, right? Said he didn't know what was inside, but
He just knew that it was there.
Inconsistencies piled up quick with Diego.
Yeah.
Let's go Diego.
Okay.
He had access to the storage unit, and his fingerprints were found on the drum's lid. He changed his story 3 different times about that. Still, he didn't fit as the mastermind, right?
Sure, he's just
he's
nobody,
erratic. He's
bottom
low
level.
life. The police know him.
Yeah.
A lot of misdemeanors. Like this guy, they know that he's not somebody that's going to...
Low-level crime.
Right.
Yeah.
But they also know that he's not somebody who's going to willingly kill somebody like Mateo.
True, but on the other hand, if he's ordered to do so, and if he's in some type of crime ring or whatever, maybe he had no choice if he did do it. I mean, it's happened.
So Mateo's girlfriend was the last known person to see him alive. She told police they had argued the night he disappeared. They asked her about what, and she hesitated. Eventually, they coaxed it out of her, and she admitted that Mateo had become obsessed with this investigation of his. He believes someone was following him, and Lucia, initially appeared kind of cooperative to go along with him, but eventually she just kind of saw his behavior as too far gone.
Yeah, acting erratically, and of course everything's about that and not about her, which girlfriends don't like.
Right.
What'd you say her name was?
Lucia.
Okay.
So Lucia was being very, very, agreeable to police, answering a lot of the questions until investigators found deleted messages on her phone.
Oh.
Messages between her and an unknown number. And they said he's getting too close. So police took that as, was she warning someone? Was she being warned? This seemed very weird, and things don't kind of add up.
Was she planted there to be his girlfriend to keep an eye on him, or
a suspected figure at the university was Mateo's academic advisor. They had a quiet reputation for connections in local politics. Mateo had recently confronted him about discrepancies in research funding tied to port operations. Of course, Esteban Cruz, his professor, denied everything. But financial records told a very different story. There were offshore transfers, unexplained deposits, and links to a shipping company under investigation. Still no direct evidence tied him to the murder. A name that kept surfacing in whispers was El Toro. His real name was Raul Mendoza. He was a dock worker with alleged ties to organized crime operating throughout the port.
Okay.
Multiple witnesses placed Mateo near the docks days before his disappearance. One claimed they saw Mateo arguing with Mendoza, but when questioned, Mendoza laughed it off. Kids like him come around asking questions, doesn't mean anything.
Right.
Of course, there's no records, no arrest.
Yeah. Just people saying, oh, yeah, I saw this.
Yeah, exactly. So the house on Cali Serrano, where police go back to look, you know, it's the one place that just every road kind of leads back to for police. It's a modest staging home in a tightly packed neighborhood overlooking the port, right? We said that at the beginning, and it's just one of those places where it's just everything is compact.
And this is the address that the...
that they found his body.
Okay.
Yeah. And the weird thing about this is, with it being so compact, it's not just the house, it's the neighborhood. Like, everybody's stacked on top of each other.
Okay.
Everybody knows one another. It's not a you can do things quietly here kind of place.
You do something, everybody's going to see it.
Exactly.
They're going to know that you're there, you're not there. Okay.
An interesting thing about it is it belonged to Diego's cousin.
Okay.
Neighbors described the house as loud. Lots of parties, lots of music, constant people coming and going at very odd hours. And, of course, nothing unusual, right? This is just business as usual for them.
Yeah.
And several residents later admitted that they heard shouting, heavy thuds, what could have been cries for help, but obviously none of them called the police. The reason being is some said they thought it was just another party. Others said they don't want trouble. One neighbor put it bluntly, he says, you don't get involved with people like that.
Right, yeah. You don't want to start trouble with somebody like
exactly.
that. Yeah.
So you kind of start getting this idea that while everybody's on top of each other, they know one another.
They're also
aware of what's
trying to
going
stay
on.
out of it intentionally.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You kind of get the idea that these guys aren't typically the kind that you want to mess around with.
You see something happening and you just kind of turn a blind eye.
Right. So the autopsy painted a very grim picture. Mateo had not died quickly, and it was very, very tragic in the way that he had done so. The evidence suggested it was prolonged confinement, repeated physical trauma, severe dehydration, and the timeline indicated he had been held for at least 3 weeks before his death.
Oh, wow.
Inside the concrete, investigators found fibers matching upholstery from the Serrano house, traces of industrial chemicals linked to the port, and a single partial fingerprint, but it did not match Diego's. And this told investigators that this was not a spontaneous act. It was controlled, sustained, and deliberate.
Yeah, they kept him for a long time and, tortured him almost, it sounds like.
Yeah. So as the investigation expanded, several theories emerged. A jealous lover scenario involving Lucia, academic corruption silencing Mateo through Professor Cruz, organized crime retaliation tied to Mendoza and the docks. And each of these seemed very plausible to investigators.
Sure.
And each had a small inkling of evidence behind it to kind of support these theories, right? Yeah. And each at some point appeared to be the answer for investigators, but none fully explained everything about what transpired or explained who.
Yeah, or
to look at
indefinitely. Yeah.
So what investigators began to suspect was far more complex. That this might not be the work of a single killer. It was a network of overlapping motives. It could be fear, control, silence, and perhaps most disturbing of all, the people who knew and chose to do nothing are the very people who are telling them you don't mess with people like that. So the discovery of Mateo Rojas, found silent and encased in stone at the edge of the Pacific, forced a chilling shift in the investigation from a search for a missing student to an interrogation of a singular, calculated murder. It was no longer just a question of who had the motive to kill him, but rather who possessed the cold, patient resolve to watch the concrete harden in the absolute stillness of that storage unit.
I can't even imagine.
Yes.
That's cold-hearted. Just cold-hearted.
Yep. So now we are at that juncture.
All right, give me a rundown of suspects because there's a lot in this one.
So we have Lucia.
Okay,
We have
girlfriend.
Esteban Cruz.
He's
We've
the
got
professor. Okay.
We've got El Toro.
Okay.
We've got Diego Alvarez.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've got a lot of
Oh my
fingers
gosh.
to point at here, or a lot of suspects to point fingers at.
A lot of fingers to point at.
Yes.
Okay.
A lot of fingers to point suspects at.
Yeah. I'm gonna lean towards Diego just
Okay.
because I feel like the way he was killed, to me, feels more like organized crime type situation,
Okay.
as opposed to a jealous girlfriend or I don't know what the professor. I just don't see that. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Diego.
Okay. All right. So that's your guess.
Okay.
So we'll see. We'll see.
We'll see what happens.
All right, guys.
I have no clue what this case is,
So-
by the way. None of this sounds familiar.
So tune in Thursday for part 2.
Yeah.
And we will see if Carly got it right.
Which I probably didn't.
I don't know. You got the last one right. You got the last episode correct.
That's true.
So,
That's true.
you know, I don't know.
Alright.
You have a pretty good average. I mean,
Yeah, that's true.
you got a few
Yeah.
going.
All right. Well, check us
yeah.
out on social media.
Dead Giveaway Podcast. You can email us suggestions, critiques, which we will ignore in the spam folder at deadgiveawaypodcast@gmail.com. And if you want to support the show, our Patreon is down in the show notes as well. And
Yeah, we'll even give you a shout out on the show.
we will give you a shout out on the show. And again, thank you for listening. Thank you for giving us your time. You guys are awesome. And we will see you on Thursday.
All right. See you then.